several recent days were pretty peaceful in Kyiv. Kyiv is trying to get back to normal life economically, so some businesses are trying to get back to work. But of course, we can't say that the all life, returns to living as normal, because we still have Russians in our country and around our capital city. And the latest news are really, good news for Ukrainian army, for the Ukrainians, that Irpin, the city to the north of Kyiv, has been liberated from Russians. We have seen the report that 30% of city during the previous days was under control of Russians. So they were here and there on the outskirts also of Irpin, but 70% were under control of Ukrainian army. And just hours ago, the mayor of city, Mr. Markushin, announced that Irpin is now free of Russians. So heavy battles had happened there, and now the city is under full control of Ukrainian army. And we see that the our forces, the Ukrainian army forces, are successful in getting back, in regaining control of these suburban areas of Kyiv to the north. So we see that Russian plan of encirclement of city is also, again, not true. And what is surprising, kind of, and at the same time not surprising, that Russians do try to switch their rhetoric and saying that, oh, we do not plan even to take Kyiv. Oh, we do not plan to do so and so, just because they see that they are not successful in their tactics. And right now they're trying, to show their influence at least somewhere. So, of course, here's the expectations of the military experts, of people I spoke to here in Kyiv who monitor the situation. They say that it looks like Russians will try to focus their forces in the southern parts of Ukraine. So from Crimea, it is easy for them to draw more troops to Kherson, to Mykolaiv. Right now, Kherson is under control of Russians, unfortunately. So they will try to keep the control there. And of course, they will have to move away from Kyiv, because the fight back of the Ukrainian army is now very strong and they can't handle it, despite the expectations of Russians to be very successful in this direction.
I certainly hope. I was happy to hear you say that the last few days were a little normal in Kyiv, and I hope that prevails. Nobody wants this to become a worse situation, no matter which way we look at it. I hope that things calm down in Kyiv. I hope that things calm down in Donetsk. I hope there's a diplomatic situation. But I think all three of us can agree, Geeta and Maria, that it doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon. We'll have to see where it goes. Please stay safe. We'll keep coming back to you. Thank you for getting us that first-hand view from the ground in Ukraine. Now, the current president of the United States of America, you know who I'm talking about, is known to shoot his mouth off at times which are pretty inappropriate. And on the matter of the Ukraine war and its perpetrator, Vladimir Putin, Joe Biden has been saying things that his staff have been scrambling to firefight and do damage control for. From war criminal to regime change, Biden has said it all. Apparently, ad-libbed. He improvised in a scripted speech as he strayed from this carefully drafted speech. The diplomatic fallout of such comments is naturally serious, because when a US president says something like, I want to change the Russian government in a public speech, it can rarely be taken back. And believe me, this is Cold War 2.0. That is the current atmosphere.
It was Saturday in Ukraine when the bombs began falling on Lviv to the west of the country. The city had seen relative calm over the month of war, but the strikes at a fuel depot sent smoke and flames billowing into the air. At about the same time, around 400 kilometers further west, President Joe Biden of USA was meeting Ukrainian refugees at the National Stadium of Poland in Warsaw. When reporters asked him what he thought of President Putin of Russia, the US president said he's a butcher.
You see this and you're dealing every day with Vladimir Putin. I mean, look at what he's done to these people. What does it make you think?
He's a butcher.
If Putin was sending a message to Biden by bombing Western Ukraine because the US president was in neighboring Poland, then Biden too had a message for Putin later that evening.
Over the last 30 years, the forces of autocracy.
It was a much-awaited speech, from one who is called the leader of the free world. At the end of his 3-day visit to Europe, in the backdrop of the raging war to his east, President Joe Biden's words would in effect indicate the direction Western strategy would take in the days to come. For 27 minutes, the President of the United States spoke, showing full support for Ukraine and drawing out the parameters of Western response to Russian action. And then suddenly, 27 minutes later, at the very end of his speech, he dropped an ad-libbed bombshell.
Russia's choice. We will have a different future, a brighter future, rooted in democracy and principles, hope and light, of decency and dignity, of freedom and possibilities. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power. God bless you all, and may God defend our freedom.
Those 9 ad-libbed words, "For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power," set off alarm bells all over the diplomatic world. It had US officials scrambling to damage control, and Secretary of State Antony Blinken clarified that regime change in Russia was not on US agenda.
Made the point last night that
But this was typical Joe Biden. He had often been accused of letting his mouth run away from prudence. During his 2008 campaign for presidential nomination, Biden had described another contender as the first mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean and a nice-looking guy. That contender was Barack Obama, whose running mate he later became and stayed vice president during the Obama presidency. On Ukraine, as President of the United States, Joe Biden had been building up to getting his words get the better of US policy.
I think he is a war criminal.
In the matter of a week, Biden had not only called Putin a war criminal, he also referred to him as a murderous dictator, a pure thug who is waging an immoral war against the people of Ukraine. He said the Russian invasion of Ukraine was inhuman. Some of what Joe Biden sometimes says is considered nothing more important than a gaffe, like when he said Iranian instead of Ukrainian during his State of the Union address on 1st of March.
Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people.
But there are times when the seasoned politician that he is, his verbal slip-ups may actually be pointing to how things really are. But then, as the President of the United States, he knows the weight his words carry. During his presidential campaign, Joe Biden often told his audience how the words of a president can matter when they can send men and women to war, and how they can also bring peace.
And coming up, perhaps the only other really world-dominating headline apart from the Ukraine crisis today, Slapgate from the Oscars. You couldn't possibly have missed what happened on stage. Well, in the small chance that you did, don't miss what's coming up. We've got the full video, before, after, and that infamous slap that Chris Rock took from Will Smith.
You are what? She's the wife of Ukraine's President Zelensky, and she fears for the safety of her husband. In a written exchange from an undisclosed location with a media house, the 44-year-old revealed that she calls her husband every morning, but only after praying for his well-being. Meet Olena Zelenska, the First Lady of Ukraine. She is the wife of the Ukrainian president, and she has been standing like a strong pillar by his side during these shattering moments of the war. Olena was born in the same city where President Zelensky was raised. She and Zelensky were schoolmates, but they were not acquainted then. Zelensky once said that he knew many of her classmates, but not Zelenska herself. They got to know each other much later when Zelenska was studying at the Faculty of Civil Engineering at Kryvyi Rih National University. She reportedly had a boyfriend at the time, and he was busy trying to make a career in comedy. It is said that it was comedy that united them. Olena was a scriptwriter, and Zelensky is one of the founders at Kvartal 95. It is a leading provider of entertainment TV content in Ukraine. Later, Zelensky got her on board as the scriptwriter. Zelenska was one of the writers of the show Servant of the People. The relationship between the couple developed gradually. They dated for 8 years before getting married on 6th September 2003. On 15th July 2004, their daughter Alexandra was born. On 21st January 2013, Zelenska gave birth to their son. Zelenska became the First Lady of Ukraine on 20th May 2019 with Volodymyr's elect. In an interview, she said, and I quote, "I am a non-public person. I prefer staying backstage. My husband is always on the forefront, while I feel more comfortable in the shade. I am not the life of the party, and I do not like to tell jokes." Olena has been a part of many social causes. Her first initiative talked about nutrition reform in Ukrainian schools. In December 2019, during a speech at the 3rd Ukrainian Women's Congress, Zelenska initiated Ukraine's accession to the G7 International Initiative on Gender Equality. She also started an initiative to spread the Ukrainian language in the world and the introduction of Ukrainian language audio guides in the most iconic places, in particular in the largest museums in the world. Zelenska has been drawing attention to the plight of women and children too. She is considered as one of Ukraine's most influential women. In December 2019, Zelenska was included in the list of the 100 most influential Ukrainians by Focus magazine, taking 30th place. Zelensky's family came to the spotlight when Ukrainian president opened up about him being his enemy's target number 1 and his family being target number 2. The proclamation drew attention to the plight of his family, First Lady Olena Zelenska, and the couple's 2 young children.
When it's the world's biggest news story, there's only one gold standard of journalism. This is Ukraine's true danger zone. Up close and fearless in Ukraine's combat zone. When it's the world's biggest news story, there's only one gold standard of journalism.
You are watching India Today.
In the very small chance that you haven't seen the video that's made all the headlines from the 94th Academy Awards, where a slapgate happened on stage in front of millions of viewers, then there's nothing that I can possibly say that's going to prepare you for it. So watch this report.
Will Smith may have won the Best Actor award at the 2022 Oscars, but it is this action performance that he will be remembered for. The actor lost his cool at comedian Chris Rock during the ceremony as he went straight up on the stage and smacked him after Rock made a joke at Smith's wife Jada Pinkett Smith.
Wow!
The altercation did not stop there. Smith went back to his seat and yelled at Rock thereafter, telling him to keep his wife's name out of his mouth.
It was a G.I. Jane jump.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth!
I'm going to, okay? Okay.
All this happened when Rock appeared on stage to present the Oscar for documentary feature. He made a joke about Will's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, being in G.I. Jane because of her shaved bald head. Now, if you jog your memory, last December, Jada Pinkett Smith had opened about her struggles with alopecia,
Y'all know I've been struggling with alopecia.
revealing that she had decided to shave her head instead of constantly dealing with hair loss. So it goes without saying, when Rock passed a comment about her, it didn't go down well with Smith.
I love you.
During the commercial break, Smith was seen being comforted by Denzel Washington and Tyler Perry. Washington apparently told Smith, "At your highest moment, be careful. That's when the devil comes for you." Despite the assault on Chris Rock, Smith attended the full ceremony, but apologized when he won the Best Actor trophy.
I want to apologize to the Academy. I want to apologize to all my fellow nominees. It's not about winning an award for me. It's about being able to shine light.
Richard!
Emotions were clearly running high at this ceremony. Entertainment Bureau, India Today.
Well, Will Smith apologized, but not to Chris Rock directly. So we don't know where that's going. We'll wait and keep you posted on that. That's it on News Track. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow night. Up next, it's News Today with Rajdeep.
Protège la queue de détente à l'intérieur, qu'il faut être le plus réactif possible. Donc déjà la prise en main de l'arme.
From unemployed civilians to engineers, several French volunteers have been training to fight the Russian invasion. Many civilians expressed their interest to fight for Ukraine on Facebook. A French former soldier is training civilians for the battle.
Je voyais pas mal de personnes sur des groupes notamment de Facebook qui décidaient de partir en Ukraine sans aucune expérience, comme ça sur un coup de tête. Je pensais que ma meilleure façon à moi de contribuer à ça, de les aider, c'était de leur donner un petit vernis. Voilà, justement de pas les laisser partir à l'aventure comme ça et de leur apprendre vraiment la base du combat.
For the French civilians, war isn't a common sight. They will not only be facing the strong Russian military, but also signs of ruined buildings and bombed regions.
Même si je suis totalement prêt, je veux aller là-bas en connaissance de cause, en étant prêt, du coup, à sacrifier ma vie, en sachant que je reviendrai pas forcément. Mais après, le problème, c'est que là, j'ai l'impression que si j'y vais, je vais y aller un peu pour rien et que je vais mourir dans les premiers instants et que ça va servir à absolument rien du tout.
As the volunteers are learning about challenges of war, many of them are realizing that training for war isn't easy. As a result, volunteers who are facing the realities of the battlefield are becoming hesitant or giving up.
Ma première idée, c'était peut-être d'aller aider les Ukrainiens en tant que combattant, mais je pense que mon camarade, après avoir un petit peu réfléchi, je pense que ce serait pas forcément une bonne idée, n'ayant pas forcément d'expérience militaire sur le terrain. Et je me suis plutôt orienté vers l'humanitaire. Donc faire une formation comme ça peut toujours servir, je pense, pour l'humanitaire sur place, parce qu'on ne sait jamais ce qui peut arriver.
In the face of challenges, volunteers are wondering what would happen if an attack were to happen in France.
Malgré les attentats, malgré le fait que la France soit engagée sur différents terrains à l'extérieur, j'ai jamais eu, en tout cas jamais ressenti ce besoin de me former. C'est simplement la situation actuelle, ce climat géopolitique actuel qui m'a fait me poser des questions en me disant effectivement c'est arrivé en Ukraine, même si les choses sont un peu différentes, mais c'est arrivé en Ukraine très rapidement. On s'interroge aujourd'hui sur la capacité militaire de la France.
Since the war in Ukraine broke out, more than 20,000 foreigners have signed up to be part of the International Legion and International Army, and this serves as an indication of the world uniting against the Russian invasion. Janhvi Kapoor to Wani Kapoor, Matthew Perry to Ben Affleck. Where did they really all find love? They log on to this app called Raya, an exclusive dating app that's meant for the rich and the famous. Before you grab your phones to try your luck at matching these celebrities, let's give you a fair warning here. This dating app has a waiting list of lakhs of people who want in. What makes Raya so special? Unlike Tinder, Bumble or Hinge, Raya is a private, membership-based community for people all over the world to connect and collaborate. It is an invite-only dating app launched in 2015 by US-based Daniel Gendelman. It is elite, exclusive and requires interested users to fill out an elaborate application. Who can join the Raya Club? If you want to swipe right immediately, then please hold on to your horses there. You can only use this service if you have been invited by an existing member and approved by an anonymous membership committee. After filling out this form, the users are either accepted or rejected or put on a waiting list. In fact, 1 lakh users are already waiting to join this dating app. You heard that right? Only about 8% of all applications so far have been accepted. Here's the cherry on top. The app is available only on iOS devices. Well, love certainly is not free, and you guessed it right, this app isn't free either. It charges a monthly subscription of 2,000 rupees. In fact, one person even offered $10,000 in cash only in order to get an entry into this app. Yep, the hype is real. Now, Raya and its filmy connection. Initially, Raya debuted as a simple dating app, but gradually it transformed into a thick-walled, membership-based dating community for members of the entertainment industry. Today, it is dubbed as Hollywood's exclusive dating app. It is used not just by famous movie stars, but also some top models, professional athletes, internet celebrities, fashion designers, and several other well-known people.
You are watching India Today.
The West could not put the fear of God in Putin, but restored to second-hand arm twisting through slapping heavy economic sanctions. Putin saw this and tagged it as West declaring war. But President Biden says Putin chose this war. Putin is not the only one affected here. Russian oligarchs are also coming under fire. The allegation against these oligarchs is that they siphoned billions of dollars off Putin's regime and stashed them elsewhere.
We're adding dozens of names to the list, including one of Russia's wealthiest billionaires, and I'm banning travel to America by more than 50 Russian oligarchs, their families, and their close associates.
These oligarchs are businessmen from the former Soviet republics who rapidly accumulated wealth during the era of Russian privatization after the fall of the Soviet Union back in the 1990s. Not just the United States, the United Kingdom and the European Union followed suit in slapping unprecedented sanctions against key figures in the Moscow elite. Even countries long known for harboring assets with few questions asked, such as Switzerland and Monaco, have joined in with the measures. Lawmakers, high-ranking military officers, prominent journalists, tycoons and finance chiefs have also been targeted. Their financial assets have been frozen, and some measures also ban them from entering the sanctioning nations. Now, those high-profile individuals who've been affected through these sanctions include Nikolay Tokarev, the president of oil and gas giant Transneft, Rostec defense firm chief Sergei Chemizov, or VEB development bank head Igor Shevalov.
I think it is the end of an era, quite apart from anything else. The position of any oligarchs who have close links to President Putin is going to be, I think, impossible for the future in view of the public reaction to what President Putin is doing. That was one of the problems in the first place. It was obvious that many of these people were keeping very close links with the Russian state and indeed, therefore, could do President Putin's work for him. All that, I think, has been completely blown apart.
In the United States, for instance, a task force named Kleptocapture is pursuing the oligarchs' assets. Billionaire industrialist Oleg Deripaska and Mikhail Friedman, a founder of Russia's largest private bank, both have urged to end Putin's war. Both of them are on the sanctions list of the United States and the EU respectively. The change in their tune is quite evident now as they're feeling the hurt of sanctions squeezing them. Let me give you another example here of how these oligarchs are jumping ship in panic. Another billionaire businessman and close associate of Putin, Roman Abramovich, has now put his British soccer club up for sale and vowed to donate all those proceeds to all victims of the war in Ukraine. The oligarchs are now feeling the hurt, and it's probably the West's biggest win as they have a very important role in Putin's Russia. Why? Because they provide invaluable support to Putin's regime, lead key companies and institutions, and also help conceal the president's own enormous wealth. Although their assets are frozen, they're not likely to starve to death. They are definitely going to miss that luxurious lifestyle. This will probably be, indeed, their social debt.
When it's the world's biggest news story, there's only one gold standard of journalism.
You are watching.
Presented by Star Health Insurance, the health insurance specialist. Co-presented by JK Pancharghat Tire. Ab hawa nahi niklegi. Co-presented by Fujitsu General, the extreme machine. Powered by Greenply, India's first zero-emission plywood. In association with Kia Carens. It's from a different world.
Hello and welcome. You're with the news today, your primetime destination. News, newsmakers, talking points. What are the big headlines this Monday night? Let's start with the 9 headlines at 9. The opposition moves a no-confidence motion against Imran Khan. In the Pakistan Assembly, Imran claims there's a foreign conspiracy to destabilize his government. Army yet to take a public stand on the vote as time seems running out for Imran Khan. Russia continues to rain fury on Ukraine on day 33 of invasion. Face-to-face negotiations between both countries in Turkey likely tomorrow. Total mayhem in the West Bengal Assembly. BJP claims TMC MLAs assaulted their legislators for demanding a discussion on the Birbhum massacre. 5 BJP lawmakers, including leader Shubhendu Adhikari, are suspended. Shocker in Uttar Pradesh's Kushinagar, a mob allegedly lynches a BJP worker who was a Muslim for celebrating Yogi Adityanath's win and chanting Jai Shri Ram. Chief Minister Yogi orders a probe. The Kashmir files face-off escalates. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal lambasts the BJP for politics over the film. Says the centre failed to rehabilitate pundits now doing politics over their pain. And India Today exclusive. Pramod Sawant takes oath as Goa Chief Minister for a second time. Prime Minister Narendra Modi along with BJP top brass attend the swearing-in. Controversial MLA Anastasia Montserrat among those who's made a minister. Multiplex operators PVR and Inox announce a blockbuster deal. The merged company will be named PVR Inox, will create India's largest film exhibition entity with over 1,500 screens. Over 800 essential medicines, including paracetamol, to get costlier from April 1. National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority allows a price hike by more than 10%. And high drama at the 94th Academy Award. Will Smith throws a punch at Chris Rock for a joke on his wife. Wins Best Actor Award for King Richard.
Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the out of us.
But our top story tonight comes from across the border, where today a no-confidence motion has been moved in the Pakistan Assembly against Prime Minister Imran Khan. The Pakistan Prime Minister is now battling for survival, with the opposition tabling that no-confidence motion in the Assembly. Imran Khan's fate will be decided now by many of his allies, who simply appear to be waiting for a final cue from the Pakistani army. As always, the army could decide what happens next in Pakistan. It's our top story tonight.
Imran Khan's government in Pakistan is fighting for survival. On Monday, the Pakistan National Assembly allowed a no-confidence motion
through this resolution
moved by PMLN leader Shahbaz Sharif. The Assembly will take up the motion on Thursday, and numbers don't look too good for the cricketer turned politician.
This House resolves that it has no confidence in the Prime Minister, Mr. Imran Khan Niazi.
Pakistani National Assembly has 342 members. Imran needs 172 votes to defeat the motion. Imran Khan's Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf has 155 lawmakers. Khan is supported by the Muttahida Qawmi Movement Pakistan with its 7 members. Imran's other allies have 14 seats. The chances of Imran surviving the trust appears bleak. At least 24 of Khan's own party members could vote against him. To add to his woes, 3 allies with 17 seats have already joined the opposition. The opposition has 162 members. It needs the vote of just 10 lawmakers to oust Imran. Ahead of the no-confidence motion, in a mega show of strength, Imran Khan organized a rally in Islamabad. Khan claimed foreign powers are conspiring to topple his 3-year-old government.
मेरा दिल से मैं इल्जामात नहीं लगा रहा. मेरे पास जो ये खत है, ये सबूत है. हमारे मुल्क में बाहर से पैसे की मदद से हुकूमत तब्दील करने की कोशिश की जा रही है.
While taking on the opposition, Imran surprisingly praised India and Bangladesh.
अगर हम उस अज़मत पे नहीं पहुंच सके, बहुत बड़ी वजह उसकी ये चोर हुक्मरान जिन्होंने 30 साल से इस मुल्क को लूटा है. जब ये 2 करप्ट खानदान इस मुल्क के ऊपर हावी हुए हैं, हर चीज में हम पीछे रह गए. सारे बर्र-ए-सगीर में हिंदुस्तान आगे निकल गया. बांग्लादेश से हम इतना आगे थे कि कोई तस्वर भी नहीं कर सकता था कि बांग्लादेश भी एक दिन हमारे से आगे निकल जाएगा.
Imran's biggest concern is that he seems to have lost the trust of the all-powerful Pakistan army. If he loses the trust vote, Imran will go down in history as the first Prime Minister to be ousted in the Assembly. But then, no Prime Minister has completed a full 5-year term in Pakistan. Bureau Report, India Today.
And my first guest tonight on the top story is Najam Sethi, editor of Friday Times in Pakistan and the country's leading analyst of political affairs. Appreciate your joining us, Mr. Sethi. My big question to you, is it end game Imran Khan, or do you believe like a cat he can survive yet again?
Well, until a few hours ago, it did seem that it was curtains for him, but there's been some late developments. Imran Khan has tried to rope his allies back into the fold. He's offered one set of allies the governorship of Sindh province, and he's offered the other one the chief ministership of Punjab. This happened only about 2 hours ago. And the vote of no confidence has already been launched and is due to be held in about 7 days' time. And now at the nth minute, when these allies were supposed to be joining the opposition, they seem to be about to switch sides. And if that happens, then it's going to be a very close call.
You're saying it's going to be a close call, but many believe, at least observers in India believe, that it's eventually the army that will take a call whether this government must go, whether there will be early elections, whether it's replaced by Shahbaz Sharif. What's your sense? Is the army just a bystander watching what's happening, or are they now an active player in bringing down this government of Imran Khan?
No, I don't think they're an active player now. I think the very fact that they've pulled out from supporting him is seen by the opposition as activity or active. So therefore, Imran Khan can't survive without the army support. And for the first time, he's now having to stand on his own feet, which is why he's now running around trying to woo friends and allies. So far, the army has stayed away from these new developments. And that's what's upsetting him. They're saying, we want to be neutral. You guys sort this out amongst yourselves, which is what has emboldened the opposition to go for Imran. And so right now, the army is staying out of it. One doesn't know what happens in 7 days' time, how close it will be, and who will receive a phone call and who will not receive a phone call. It's a bit difficult to say right now.
But what's your sense? Why has it gone so horribly wrong for Imran Khan? In 2018, comes to power, talks of a Naya Pakistan, but we are seeing now Imran Khan claiming there's a foreign conspiracy against him. What's gone wrong? Is the fault lie with Imran Khan, or is it that the opposition has just smelled blood?
No, it's entirely Imran's fault. For 4 years, he's not focused on governance. He's focused on trying to eliminate the opposition. And he hasn't succeeded in eliminating the opposition, and nor has he succeeded in giving good governance. The net result of that has been that the army that brought him to power has been, now the opposition and people are holding it responsible for bringing this gentleman in. And instead of the focus on Imran Khan, the wrath of the masses and the opposition has now turned their guns onto the people who brought him and the people who propped him up. So I think because most of the army rank and file comes from Punjab province, which is now Nawaz Sharif's favorite hunting ground, that's where the sentiment has turned against the army. And they've never felt anything like this before. So I think there was an institutional decision to step back from supporting Imran so that they don't get bad-mouthed anymore. And I think that has led to this crisis. And now I think they've crossed the Rubicon. It seems very difficult for them to go back to propping him up again and then opening themselves up to a bad mouthing by the opposition and people again. So that's where we stand today. Now their attitude is, okay, you guys sort it out amongst themselves, and if you guys can't sort it out amongst yourselves, you will have yourselves to blame, and then, well, we don't know what we'll do later.
No, so are we heading for instability? Are we heading for the return of the Sharifs? Is Pakistan heading into another spell of possible instability?
Well, either the vote of no confidence against Imran will succeed. That will be followed by a government led by Shahbaz Sharif, younger brother of Nawaz Sharif, in Islamabad. That government will hang around for a few months and then order fresh elections. And if all goes well according to the current prognosis for the Muslim League, they will win the next elections too. And then there will be stability, because then they will be in for 5 years and there will be stability. On the other hand, if Imran survives this round, the chances are that the opposition is not going to go back to the drawing room. They will keep hammering away at him. There'll be another vote of no confidence in 3 months' time. And if the army continues to stay away from propping up the government, it's only a matter of time before Islamabad is wrapped up, one way or another.
But let me come back to what I asked earlier about Naya Pakistan. There was talk that here was Imran Khan who was going to stop the looting of Pakistan that he believed that the Bhuttos and the Sharifs had carried out. He was seen as the knight on a white horse who was going to change Pakistan. You're now talking about the governance deficit. You've got serious economic crises. Is it that Pakistan itself is ungovernable, or Imran, in your view, simply could not measure up to the task of governing Pakistan?
I think, it is possible. There are issues, of course. But the army supported Imran Khan because they thought he was a modern man. He had young people with him. There was a new generation supporting him. And they said, well, we are going to be propping him up. And they had high hopes on 2 counts. Number one, they thought there wouldn't be corruption in the new government. Number two, they thought Imran would be able to provide good governance, get the economy moving. Now, on both counts, he's failed. There's enormous corruption in the current administration and regime. Transparency International says that Pakistan's corruption rating has worsened in the last 3 years of Imran Khan's rule. Punjab, which is the home ground, is stories of Imran Khan's party's corruption in Punjab are legion now. And in fact, some of them involved the First Lady also. And so that is what has upset a lot of people, that instead of running a good, clean ship, it's been the other way around. His cronies have indulged in corruption. There are massive scandals brewing, and they will doubtless come out as soon as he's deposed. And the media has not been terribly friendly because he's been very repressive. There's never been a worse time for the media than under Imran Khan. And so therefore now he's begun to take a populist position that is alienating many of Pakistan's international allies and friends. And Pakistan is ending up in a state of isolation internationally. So this is all very, very alarming as far as the establishment is concerned. And I think for this reason, Imran is not delivered at all. His arrogance has stood in the way. He had no experience of governance. He was only concerned with trying to victimize and knock out the opposition, in which he didn't succeed. The courts didn't support him. The so-called institutional watchdogs failed to come up with the goods, and so on. So it's been a failure all round.
So am I to call him the god that failed, the man who led Pakistan to a World Cup triumph, the man who, as I said, vowed to topple 30 years of misgovernance of the Bhuttos and the Sharifs? Are you saying he's the god that fell? In your voice, I sense complete disillusionment, Najam Sethi.
I am completely disillusioned, and I'm not the only one. Of course, the country was divided. Originally, we thought that he hadn't won the election and that the election had been won for him. And I think that's what we still feel. And then on top of that, a lot of people said, okay, it doesn't matter. Let's give him a chance, see if he can deliver the goods. And when that didn't happen, a lot of his own people have now become alienated. And there is enormous rage amongst the masses for the lack of governance and the corruption that has characterized his regime. It's been a singular failure. And yes, I suppose you could say that this is the god that failed.
May I, a final question. How do you see it from an Indian, if I were to look at it from an Indian perspective, is Imran still the person whom India should want continuing as possibly a lame duck prime minister? Or do you believe the Sharifs would be a better option, the Bhuttos, or simply army rule once again? What from an Indian perspective given, and I'm looking from a perspective of having a stable neighborhood, do you believe is the best option for New Delhi at the moment?
Well, I think I'll put it like this. There was a time when Nawaz Sharif wanted to normalize relations with India, and the establishment didn't want to do that. And there was a time when the establishment wants to normalize relations, not just with India, but with the United States and the Europeans as well. And Imran Khan, who was already on board, has now decided that the populist thing to do when he's drowning is to clutch at religion and anti-India and anti-America populism, which is where we are today.
So you're saying that Imran Khan has moved from being someone who wanted good relations with India. I recall his first speech when he became Prime Minister to now riding, you're saying, on anti-India, anti-American sentiment and promoting a kind of Islamism. Am I correct?
Yes, you're absolutely correct.
And you believe that this is not a battle that he can win, or it is a battle that is now subject to diminishing returns?
It's a battle that is subject to diminishing returns. Sooner or later, Imran Khan will be out of governance. That is my prediction.
Okay, Najam Sethi speaking as always, shooting from the hip. I appreciate your joining us and giving us a perspective on that big story on Imran Khan now facing a vote of no confidence in the Pakistan Assembly. Thanks very much. Let's turn to the top story domestically, where Bengal's culture of violent politics today reached the Assembly. The House today witnessed shameful scenes as Trinamool Congress and BJP MLAs clashed over last week's Birbhum massacre. 5 BJP MLAs, including their party leader Subhendu Adhikari, have now been suspended from the Assembly. Is Bengal politics reaching the point of no return? Here's a report.
Punches flying thick and fast as a squabble turned into an all-out violent fight. This was what played out in the Bengal Assembly on Monday. Punches amidst the pandemonium over a heated debate over the Birbhum violence. And soon enough, the blame game over who resorted to such shameful scenes in the Assembly broke out, with the Trinamool and BJP pointing fingers at each other. The video tweeted by the BJP's Amit Malviya shows a BJP MLA accusing other MLAs of pushing him and tearing open his shirt.
मुख्यमंत्री का हम लोग यहाँ पर विपरीत चाह रहे थे, जो घटना घटा रामपुर हाट में हम लोग स्पीकर को बोल रहा था, लेकिन टीएमसी के कुछ गुंडा विधायक आकर के सब मेरा शर्ट ये सब छीट दिया यहाँ पर हमको धक्का मारा, घूसी मारा.
BJP MLAs also staged a protest outside the Assembly, claiming they were attacked for highlighting the Birbhum violence.
बाहर का जो माहौल है, गांव का जो माहौल है, जो गुंडागर्दी रामपुर हाट में भादु शेख अनारुल हुसैन ने कर रहा था, ठीक अंदर में भी एक ही हालत बना दिया. तृणमूल पार्टी, पुलिस और आपने गुंडा एमएलए लेकर. एज ए लीडर ऑफ अपोजिशन आई विल सेंड माई रिटन कंप्लेंट टू द स्पीकर. जो आपका आंख का सामने ये सब हुआ, ये नहीं होना चाहिए. जो लोग किया है उसका खिलाफ हाउस का जो रूल है, रूल के अंदर कार्रवाई होना चाहिए.
Meanwhile, the Trinamool has hit back with a strong counter. This is MLA Asit Majumdar, who claimed he was punched repeatedly by BJP leaders, including Subhendu Adhikari, in the Assembly.
আমাদের সিকিউরিটিদের মারছিল, আমি হাত জোড় করে বারণ করতে গেছি, শুভেন্দু নিজে ঘুষি মারলো, আমার চশমা ভেঙে দিয়েছে. দেখুন, এই দেখুন চশমা ভেঙে দিয়েছে.
5 BJP MLAs, including Subhendu, have been suspended from the Assembly until further notice. The showdown in the Bengal Assembly meant no productive discussion on the horrifying Birbhum violence in the Assembly, as the BJP claimed the Trinamool refused to allow a debate in the House, a claim countered by the Trinamool.
जब लखीमपुर में इतनी बड़ी घटना होती है और वहाँ पर आपके पत्रकार से लेके किसान से लेके सबको मार दिया जाता है, और वो भी एक मंत्री का लड़का मारता है, उस समय प्रधानमंत्री जी चुप बैठे रहते हैं. फिर भी वो अगर बंगाल को लिए चिंतित है, तो मैं उनसे आपके जरिए कहना चाहता हूं, जो यहाँ पर बंगाल के मुख्यमंत्री ममता बनर्जी है, जो सारे चीज करते हैं, जो एंटी सोशल कहीं भी वो भड़क सकता है, कहीं भी ये एक यहाँ पर रिएक्शन करते, मैं एंटी सोशल को पकड़ के कोर्ट के सामने लाना, ये हमारे बंगाल के प्रथा है, और एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन बहुत इस जोरी के साथ इसका काम कर रही है.
The politics over the Birbhum violence has stooped to a new low with the scenes that unfolded inside the Assembly. With claims and counterclaims emerging, the question remains, who instigated the violence inside the Assembly? With camera person Taposh Beri, this is Anupam Mishra for India Today in Kolkata.
So is the battle between the ruling Trinamool Congress and the opposition BJP in Bengal now rapidly reaching the point of no return? Joining me now, Saket Gokhale, TMC spokesperson, and Shazia Ilmi, the BJP spokesperson. Appreciate both of you joining us. Saket Gokhale, that direct question, is it reaching the point of no return to the point where today we've seen these disgraceful scenes in the West Bengal Assembly? Surely this is not the Shonar Bangla or the Poriborton that Mamata Banerjee promised all those years ago.
No, it's absolutely not. And it's definitely not Shonar Bangla, because for the simple reason that here you have a BJP trying to replicate a UP or a Gujarat inside the state of West Bengal. So this is definitely not what Bengal is. You know, this kind of hooliganism, the kind of Gundaism, the idea of, and when we talk about no return, you know, this is not just West Bengal. The BJP is doing this in Maharashtra. The BJP is doing this in a lot of other states. So the BJP obviously is a party that cannot, you know, practice what you call civil politics or go by how a democracy is supposed to function. Their idea is when you're defeated, you try and get back by hook or by crook, try and destabilize the state. They tried to do it in Maharashtra in the middle of COVID-19. So it is not surprising at all that, you know, after all the helplessness that the BJP is feeling after their defeat in West Bengal, they would resort to something as ugly as violence in the middle of an assembly. They would break the nose of an MLA.
But are you blaming? No. But the fact is, you have an overwhelming majority in the assembly. The BJP claims the hooliganism that we've seen in the assembly today, the assaults, were, according to them, initiated by the Trinamool Congress, which has the majority in the House. You have the muscle power in the House.
I have a question, Rajdeep. I have a question. When 7 terrorists attacked Bombay, we had an armed force of how many thousand people? So are we going to say it was instigated by the police or it was instigated by the terrorists at the end of the day? So the numbers don't matter here. A handful of miscreants are more than enough to start Gundaism, and that's what happened today. So the numbers, it's not about whether we are not the police of the assembly. I mean, we have MLAs in the assembly, and if numbers were just a comparison to ensure safety, then at the end of it, would you blame 7 terrorists or would you blame a police force of 10,000 people?
Shazia Ilmi, there is a sense that what the BJP is attempting is playing politics over the dead bodies of people in Birbhum. What happened in Birbhum, tragic. Women dead, children dead, needs a full investigation, is now a CBI probe as ordered by the Calcutta High Court. But Shuvendu Adhikari, ex-TMC, and the BJP want to use this to somehow or the other push either for central intervention or create the impression of a breakdown in law and order in Bengal, and therefore you're playing politics over dead bodies. How do you respond?
You know, Rajdeep, I'm aghast at the nonchalance of this gentleman who doesn't even mention the charring to death of 6 women and 2 children. I mean, that actually happened, that gruesome, grisly murder and beating up and assault, and then the final burning and setting ablaze of the houses in Birbhum. And not just that, the top priority of the government at that point of time was to stop the leader of the opposition from visiting the site. And not just that, the fact of the matter is Anwarul Hussain, the TMC bloc president, who is known for the stirrings of violence, and there have been many charges against him. Instead of protecting him, the duty of Mamata Banerjee should have been to be out there and take responsibility for the carnage that took place. But here we are listening to this adorable speech about what BJP is doing.
There is a CBI probe. There is a CBI probe ordered by the Calcutta High Court. Why don't you allow the law to take its own course? It appears at the moment that at the slightest instance, the BJP wants to somehow or the other. It's a very tragic incident. So, let's not play politics over dead bodies. It's very tragic what happened in Birbhum.
Yet nobody's talking about it. You know, there is the outrage over this charring to death of women and children is just sadly missing. And the politics is all that prevails, you know, on the face of it. What I want to say is Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary is a Congress MP, is not from the BJP at all. And he's asked for intervention. And he's talking about Article 355, and that the centre must intervene in matters of having an emergency provision in matters of aggression, external aggression or internal
Is that what the BJP also wants? No. Is that what the BJP wants, that the centre must now intervene?
No, I'm just saying that look at what is going on in West Bengal. So it's just not the BJP. It's even the Congress. It's beyond the party politics. It's beyond the ambit of it. There is something sinister going on there, which is a flagrant abuse of law. And the police has become some sort of a feudal army of this great dictator that we have here. And it's very strange. It's very strange.
Narendra Modi as Prime Minister, someone saying great dictator.
Well, not at all. I mean, don't use
the...
It's not a talk. Let's not use semantics or rhetoric to counter each other's claims, but see what has happened.
It's not rhetoric. Can I give you?
Okay,
Modi.
One minute, Saket Gokhale. 1 minute, Shazia. Hang on.
And Saket Gokhale, the fact is,
one minute, ma'am.
Not to ever have facts on his side, is saying that. So clearly, I don't know.
1 minute. Can I just ask a direct question to Saket Gokhale? Saket Gokhale, the CBI has been asked to inquire into Birbhum by the Calcutta High Court, which obviously itself also seems to have no faith in the West Bengal police conducting a fair and independent inquiry. To that extent, is this not a loss of faith for the Mamata Banerjee government?
Whether it's a lack of faith, because the CBI is investigating the same first information report that was filed by the Kolkata police, by the Bengal police. Number one, Mamata Banerjee reached the site, met the victims. The block president who was responsible, the accused, was immediately arrested. As we speak right now, there's a 10-day operation going on to recover any kind of illegal arms, ammunition, explosives in the state. Now contrast that. We're talking about constantly the BJP spokesperson here is trying to, again, play politics over dead bodies by talking about charred bodies. I don't remember...
But that's what happened. Right?
I did not interrupt you. I know this is very difficult for you. It's difficult for you MLAs in Bengal as well. But remember, there are other people also who have a right to speak their opinion.
Yeah, only with facts.
In Uttar Pradesh,
make your point, Saket Gokhale.
Okay. When Hathras happened, very surprised, the BJP did not think of that charred body which was burnt illegally in the middle of the night by police without consent from the family. When the Unnao victim was blatantly run over by their own MLA, he was rewarded for it. Ajay Mishra is still... Let me finish.
You're all over the place, but you're not talking about the incident.
Is still a union minister.
Not one by one. Producer, Shazia, I will come back to you. Producer, volume. Yes, go ahead, Saket.
How many of these... Rajdeep, sorry. But these three incidents from UP, just an example I spoke about, how many of these spots were visited by Yogi Adityanath as the chief minister? In fact, they went and they protected the accused. We did not do that. The chief minister of West Bengal ordered the police to arrest the block president, even if he was from our party. Did Yogi Adityanath visit any of these spots when these incidents happened? So the BJP should not be lecturing us about how to govern law and order in a state. They have state-sanctioned murders that happen. Police burn bodies in the middle of the night.
You're skating on thin ice.
Saw the charred body of the Hathras victim.
It's a matter of great shame. No. I mean, you can.
Okay, let me now Shazia Ilmi answer my question. Don't get into a.
Also, Rajdeep, sorry, one last thing.
No, I won't allow producer Saket's voice now to be put out.
West Bengal into.
Now, Shazia, direct question to you as well. Shazia, you must listen to me. Shazia, we will not listen to you. I am asking you a direct question now. Shazia Ilmi, let's be very clear. The BJP has every right to raise Birbhum. Any political party would raise what happened. It's a terrible incident. My only point is, now that the the Kolkata High Court has ordered a CBI inquiry, surely it's time for the likes of Shubhendu Adhikari also to step back, rather than go every now and then to the speaker, to the governor, call for president's rule. The governor is accused of converting the Raj Bhavan into a political party office. Surely there must be rules that are equal for all, whether it's an opposition rule state or a government rule state. You can see that when Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, Rahul Gandhi went to Hathras, you accused them of playing politics. Today, if Shubhendu goes to Birbhum, you will be also accused of playing politics.
Questions are longer than
the
answer I could possibly give.
Please do.
So if you want to indulge in whataboutery, I can really go on. But I really want to stick to this. You're talking about the governor. Has it ever happened in the history of this country? Has it ever happened in this country?
No speaking, please.
Has it ever happened in the history of this country that the governor of a state is not allowed to speak to the police itself and to have no local protocol when it comes to police protocols? When he visits a university in the state, in the home state where he is the governor, and Mamata Banerjee calls up the IPS officer and says, why did you go and receive? She calls up the district magistrate. There is surveillance and people and even the industry units and
that's because the governor is seen to be behaving like a political agent of the centre. You see, the problem at the moment is there is a complete lack of trust.
That's your word against
That's a
mine.
trust deficit.
No. That's exactly.
Okay.
So that's your word against mine, just like it is Mamata Banerjee's word against the governor. You see, that's subjective.
Okay.
So it's like, whose side are you on? If you say that, because I've seen the governor's letter which he wrote.
I am on the side of the victims of Birbhum. I want justice for the victims of Birbhum. The disgraceful scenes in assembly are hardly what we want to see.
And in the assembly, if BJP is raising this point, if Suvendu Adhikari is raising the point in the assembly, just like in the parliament, the farmers' bill was talked again and again umpteen times. What is the harm? Why should Suvendu Adhikari not speak about it? I mean, I think we should all speak about it.
Because you don't allow debates. You don't allow debates in parliament. They don't allow debates in assembly. You don't allow inconvenient debates in parliament. The BJP doesn't allow inconvenient debates in parliament, and the Trinamool doesn't allow inconvenient debates in the assembly.
This should be, and I think Mamata Banerjee should take responsibility and say that she has converted her state into some sort of a killing fields, and it's totally she's incapable of running law and order.
Okay.
She is the
you made your point. My final producer. Now we must go to Saket for a point. Saket, at the end of the day, Mamata Banerjee is responsible for law and order. Just as you in the past would accuse, let's say, the Gujarat government when Mr. Modi was chief minister and the riots took place, he was responsible for law and order. Without engaging in whataboutery, the Mamata Banerjee government must explain what it's going to do on Birbhum and ensure it doesn't happen again. Is that an assurance you're willing to give that the Mamata Banerjee government will ensure that the killing fields of Bengal do not spiral out of control?
Rajdeep, I mean, you and I and everyone here knows that this killing field term, I mean, it's a very BJP term, and BJP has a big experience in establishing killing fields everywhere. I don't want to go into that. I want to be very simple here. You spoke about Gujarat, we spoke about UP earlier. Taking responsibility, the chief minister reached the spot. I
want Bengal to take responsibility.
One minute.
I forget about Gujarat and UP.
Correct. So let me finish. In contrast to those examples, here, the chief minister reached the spot. The chief minister met the victims. The chief minister ordered the arrest of the accused, and before the chief minister got there, 23 suspects were already in custody. These are the 23 suspects that are now being questioned by the CBI as well. Second thing, your question about whether High Court ordering a CBI probe means the state law and order machine, there is no faith in it. By that logic, even Hathras was handed over to the CBI. But did the BJP then admit that the court had lost faith in the state law and order machinery?
Okay.
Number three, it did not matter what party the accused belonged to. The accused was immediately arrested, and along with that, you talk about fixing the situation. Like I said, as we speak right now, the West Bengal police is doing a 10-day operation where they've been asked to look for illegal explosives, arms, weapons, ammunition, seize them, and take action against whoever is found with those. Have we seen anything along those lines?
I wish it had not taken a Birbhum for such an operation. The fact at the moment is the West Bengal government has much to answer for what happens in Bengal, just as a BJP-ruled government would have if similar instances took place in a BJP-ruled state. As far as I'm concerned, only one thing matters. It's a 7-letter word called justice. And I really hope that the Birbhum victims get justice in the fullest possible way. That's all that one really wants, not the kind of disgraceful scenes that we saw today in the Bengal Assembly. Shazia Ilmi, Saket Gokhale, for joining me in our face-off today. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Let's turn to our newsmaker now tonight. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal has strongly defended his statement on Kashmir files that has gone viral. Remember last week, Kejriwal in the assembly had questioned whether a film like Kashmir Files should be promoted and given an entertainment tax waiver by the central government. Speaking exclusively today to India Today, Kejriwal said what is really needed is justice for Kashmiri Pandits who were forced to leave the valley. He urged the filmmakers of Kashmir Files to spend the proceeds from their movie on the welfare of Pandits. Listen in to this interview with Preeti Chaudhary and Shweta Singh.
क्या हो गया अरविंद जी, आप लोग 2016 में मैं देख रही हूँ कि नील बटे सन्नाटा को आपने टैक्स फ्री किया, 2019 में आपने किया सांड की आंख, पिछले साल कर दिया 83, लेकिन कश्मीर फाइल से आपकी क्या आपत्ति रही कि आपने कहा कि नहीं मैं टैक्स फ्री नहीं करूँगा?
मेरे लिए फिल्म इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं है, हो सकता है आपके लिए इम्पोर्टेंट है, हो सकता है बीजेपी के लिए इम्पोर्टेंट है, आप सब लोग के लिए इम्पोर्टेंट हो सकती है। कश्मीर में बहुत बड़ी त्रासदी हुई, 30-32 साल हो गए उसको। कश्मीर के पंडितों को उन्हीं के घरों से बेघर किया गया, कई सारे लोगों की मौत हुई। 32 साल के बाद अगर देश की केंद्र सरकार, सत्तारूढ़ पार्टी उनको कहती है कि हमने आपके लिए एक फिल्म बनाई है, ये फिल्म देख लो, इससे बड़ी इंसल्ट हो सकती है उनकी। वो लोग क्या चाहते हैं? आप किसी कश्मीरी पंडित से पूछना कि वो क्या चाहता है।
पुनर्वास।
उसे पुनर्वास चाहिए। 8 साल से केंद्र में बीजेपी की सरकार है, उन्होंने पुनर्वास क्यों नहीं किया? 8 साल राज्य करने के बाद कहते हैं अब तुम्हारे लिए फिल्म बनाई, फिल्म देख लो, और उस पर करोड़ों रुपए कमा रहे हैं ये लोग। गंदी बात है ये, इस पर कोई गर्व करने की बात नहीं है। हमारे हाथ में जितना भी था हमने उतना किया कि दिल्ली में कुछ कश्मीरी पंडित जो आए थे उनको उन्होंने दिल्ली में 1993 में कॉन्ट्रैक्ट टीचर्स की नौकरी की, तब से लेके आज तक वो कच्चे टीचर्स बन के रह रहे थे। उन कच्चे टीचर्स को बीच में दिल्ली में कांग्रेस की सरकार भी आई, बीजेपी की सरकार भी आई, किसी ने पक्का नहीं किया, हमने आके उनको पक्का किया। हमने, आपको तो पता भी नहीं होगा ये, मैं ढिंढोरा नहीं पीटता अपने काम का, उनके दर्द के ऊपर मैं राजनीति नहीं करता, उनको हमने पक्का किया, रेट्रोस्पेक्टिव इफेक्ट से पक्का किया। और वो लोग, तो केंद्र सरकार की जिम्मेदारी है कि उस पर राजनीति करने के बजाय, उस पर फिल्में बना के पैसे कमाने की बजाय उनका पुनर्वास किया जाए और सारे लोग मिलके करें, इसमें राजनीति नहीं होनी चाहिए, सारी पार्टियां, सारी सरकारें मिलके उनका पुनर्वास करते हैं।
अरविंद जी, फिल्म की बात करते हैं, क्या अरविंद केजरीवाल को लगता है कश्मीर फाइल्स प्रोपेगेंडा फिल्म है?
मेरे को फिल्म के बारे में मेरे को कोई लेना देना ही नहीं है।
देखी आपने? मैंने
नहीं देखी, लेकिन मेरा कहना है कि इस वक्त कश्मीरी पंडितों को फिल्म नहीं चाहिए, पुनर्वास चाहिए। आइए मिलके, मैं हाथ बढ़ा रहा हूँ, आइए मिलके उनका पुनर्वास करते हैं, उनकी ज़िंदगी को बेहतर करते हैं, उनके अंदर जो टीस है अन्याय की उसको निकालते हैं।
पर अरविंद जी, जो हुआ, जो दिल्ली असेंबली में हुआ, आपने जो स्टेटमेंट दिया था दिल्ली असेंबली में, बीजेपी कह रही है कि आपने मजाक उड़ाया, आप हंसे, जो पीछे आपके लोग बैठे थे वो हंसे, कि आपने,
हमें तो बीजेपी पे हंसी आ रही थी।
बीजेपी
नौटंकी कर रही है पूरे दिल्ली देश के अंदर। बीजेपी इस टाइम उनका पुनर्वास करने की बजाय जाके पिक्चर के पोस्टर चिपका रहे हैं, उनके सारे ऊपर से नीचे तक सारे कार्यकर्ता। ये काम है बीजेपी का, ये करने आए थे राजनीति, ये राजनीति करने आए थे। अंदर ही अंदर बीजेपी वाले भी दुखी हैं जिस तरह से उनका नेतृत्व उन लोगों का इस्तेमाल कर रहा है, बीजेपी वाले भी नहीं चाहते।
कश्मीरी एक्टिविस्ट कह रहे हैं, कश्मीरी पंडित कह रहे हैं कि आप उन पे हंसे हैं।
हाँ, कोई नहीं कह रहा, बीजेपी कह रही है।
पर अगर कोई हर्ट हुआ है तो आप उसको, उन कश्मीरी पंडितों को कुछ कहना चाहेंगे?
उनको यही कहना चाहेंगे कि मुझे बेहद दुख है और मुझे बेहद तकलीफ है कि 32 सालों से आपके साथ अन्याय हुआ और किसी ने कुछ नहीं किया। मेरे हाथ में जितना था मैंने दिल्ली में किया। आज अगर हमारी केंद्र में सरकार होती, मैं आपको यकीन दिलाता हूं कि मैं आपके ऊपर फिल्म बनाने की बजाय आपका हाथ पकड़ के वापस कश्मीर में आपके घर छोड़ के आता।
इस पे बस एक और आखिरी सवाल करेंगे अरविंद जी, और क्योंकि राज्यसभा में आज संजय सिंह, जो आप ही के पार्टी के नेता हैं राज्यसभा में, 0 आवर पे नोटिस दिया है कि कश्मीर फाइल्स को दूरदर्शन पे दिखाया जाए, यूट्यूब पे डाला जाए, जो आपने भी असेंबली में कहा। आप मानते हैं पार्टी का लाइन यही है कि यही होना चाहिए?
क्यों नहीं होना चाहिए? उस फिल्म के ऊपर पैसे क्यों बनाए जाने चाहिए? उसको सबको दिखाओ। उसमें कश्मीरी पंडितों की त्रासदी मैंने तो खुद नहीं देखी, लेकिन जिन्होंने भी देखी वो बताते हैं उस त्रासदी को बड़े अच्छे से दर्शाया गया है। तो वो दिखाओ, सबको दिखाओ, फिर उस पर पैसे नहीं बनाने चाहिए यार, वो गंदी बात है।
उसके प्रोसीड्स क्या कश्मीरी पंडितों को जाने चाहिए?
बिल्कुल जाने चाहिए,
क्योंकि
आपने सही बात कही है, मैं समर्थन करता हूँ आपका
कि जाने चाहिए। उस फिल्म के जो प्रोसीड्स हैं
बता रहे हैं 200 करोड़ से ज्यादा कमाया गया है, वो 200 करोड़ से ज्यादा उनके पुनर्वास पे खर्च होना चाहिए, वो सारा पैसा उनके पुनर्वास पे खर्च होना चाहिए।
You're watching the news today. On the other side, high drama at the 94th Academy Awards. Will Smith, the big winner of the day, throws a punch at Chris Rock for a joke on his wife. What really happened? We'll tell you on the other side. Wow! Wow!
Que bueno, ahora el negocio no funciona. Yo pierdo ahora el negocio, pero no quiero que pierda mi país. Yo quiero que mi país gane. Que bueno, ahora el negocio no funciona. Yo pierdo ahora el negocio, pero no quiero que pierda mi país. Yo quiero que mi país gane. Mientras yo pierdo, mi país gane. No pasa nada, yo me recuperaré algún día.
Como no sé, para mí yo pensar o volver en Ucrania a ayudar para arma o qué hacer, pero mi mujer cada día llorar, dice, cuando tú morir en esta guerra yo sola y por esto yo de momento no sé. Cuando más difícil para Ucrania yo pienso que volver, esto yo pienso.
Ahora duermen, te podría decir que duermen 3 y 4 horas al día, conectados siempre en la televisión. Tú ahora, si fueras a un piso o una casa de una ucraniana, tendrías la televisión conectada al satélite en todas las horas del día y también pues están con la recogida del material, tienen un centro logístico del ayuntamiento y ellos están haciendo guardias ahí por todo lo que llega, porque nos llega de otras poblaciones de Lérida, de Cataluña, que canalizamos lo que podemos. Welcome back to the news today. It was Hollywood's biggest night of the year. The 94th Academy Awards were announced in Los Angeles. But what made headlines today was actor Will Smith, who won the Best Actor award, taking on comedian Chris Rock, literally on the stage. An altercation of a kind that the Oscars have never seen. Smith punched Rock after the comedian made a joke at Smith's wife. Shortly after the incident, as I said, Smith went on to win the Oscar for the Best Actor. But the real drama was on the stage.
Oh, wow!
Smith may have won the Best Actor award at the 2022 Oscars, but it is this action performance that he will be remembered for. The actor lost his cool at comedian Chris Rock during the ceremony as he went straight up on the stage and smacked him after Rock made a joke at Smith's wife Jada Pinkett Smith.
Wow!
The altercation did not stop there. Smith went back to his seat and yelled at Rock thereafter, telling him to keep his wife's name out of his mouth.
It was a G.I. Jane joke.
Keep my wife's name out your mouth!
I'm going to, okay? Okay.
All this happened when Rock appeared on stage to present the Oscar for documentary feature. He made a joke about Will's wife, Jada Pinkett Smith, being in G.I. Jane because of her shaved bald head. Now, if you jog your memory, last December, Jada Pinkett Smith had opened about her struggles with alopecia.
Y'all know I've been struggling with alopecia.
Revealing that she had decided to shave her head instead of constantly dealing with hair loss. So it goes without saying, when Rock passed a comment about her, it didn't go down well with Smith.
I love you.
During the commercial break, Smith was seen being comforted by Denzel Washington and Tyler Perry. Washington apparently told Smith, "At your highest moment, be careful. That's when the devil comes for you." Despite the assault on Chris Rock, Smith attended the full ceremony, but apologized when he won the Best Actor trophy.
I want to apologize to the Academy. I want to apologize to all my fellow nominees. It's not about winning an award for me. It's about being able to shine light.
Richard!
Emotions were clearly running high at this ceremony. Entertainment Bureau, India Today.
Okay, let's turn to tonight's Good News Today story. It comes from India's first ever snow marathon that took place in Lahore in Himachal Pradesh. What exactly is a snow marathon? Well, let's take a look.
Snow-capped mountains, sub-zero temperatures, and participants unfazed by the harsh weather. India's first snow marathon was held in Himachal Pradesh. Close to 100 people took part in the event, organized by the Lahore and Spiti administration, along with Reach India. The snow marathon had 4 categories: a full marathon of 42 kilometers and 3 half marathons spanning 21, 10 and 5 kilometers. 26-year-old mountaineer Prakriti Vashne, who is attempting to conquer Mount Everest next week, also made it to the marathon.
My whole purpose of coming here and run is because I want to motivate more women to run, and I'm an aspiring climber and I'm attempting Everest this coming week. So yeah, I'm excited for it. And
the snow marathon, the first ever in India, aims to boost tourism in Lahore and Spiti.
We thought we should give an opportunity to the citizens of the country to come and participate and have a look, see at the natural beauty of this place, as well enjoy running on the snow, which is going to be a first-time experience.
There's been a long 2-year wait, and after that they're hoping that this will bring in many more participants, not just from India, but across the globe. The other part is obviously about how this is going to train marathon runners for global contest. Meanwhile, India Today is here on ground zero to get you all the report.
With Kamaljit Sandhu in Lahore, Bureau Report, India Today.
To our final image of the day that comes from Telangana, where Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao on Monday inaugurated a renovated Sri Lakshmi Narsimha Swami temple. The state government has spent over 1,800 crores on the renovation of the temple, and its Gopuram is covered with 125 kilos of gold. This could be Telangana's answer, some say, to Tirupati. Whatever it is, you, the devotee of the news, stay well, stay safe. Good night, Shubhratri, Jai Hind, Namaskar.
Ukraine has accused Russia of using Nazis' flaming onion bombs in civilian areas. International law bans the use of flaming onion bombs or white phosphorus shells in populated civilian areas. White phosphorus has often been described as a horrific weapon. It burns things to the ground, and if it does stick to your flesh, it will burn your skin. Russians are accused to be using these internationally banned bombs on civilians in the Donbas region. How dangerous is it? This colorless or yellowish translucent wax-like substance, which smells like garlic and ignites around oxygen, can cause some serious injuries and even death when it comes into contact with the skin or when it's inhaled or even swallowed. It is very hard to extinguish, and when it sticks to the skin or flesh, it makes the burn more serious. But white phosphorus are not banned. Although international law bans the use of white phosphorus shells in heavily populated civilian areas, it allows them in open spaces to be used as cover for troops. White phosphorus is primarily designed to take advantage of its smoke-producing properties to work as a cover. This is why the United Nations Convention on the Prohibition of Use of Certain Conventional Weapons exempts it from being an incendiary weapon. Incendiary weapons are designed to start fires or destroy sensitive equipment using fire. When it comes to white phosphorus, its effect to cause burn and injury are seen as incidental to its illuminant property, which is used as smoke cover for troops. So by the United Nations Convention on the Prohibition of Use of Certain Conventional Weapons definition, it strictly does not come under incendiary weapons. But it still does narrowly fall under convention guidelines, which bans or restricts its use on civilian areas, as it can cause unnecessary or unjustifiable hurt as the substance burns fiercely and can cause horrendous injuries. Studies have shown that the effects of white phosphorus is severe, especially on infant mortality, cancer and leukemia. White phosphorus munitions have been used on battlefields to make smoke screens, generate illuminations, mark targets or burn bunkers and buildings as well. In 2004, the United States acknowledged using white phosphorus in Fallujah, Iraq. In 2006, Israel used white phosphorus shells during the Israel-Lebanon conflict. During the Gaza war of 2008 and 2009, Israeli military were accused of using white phosphorus shells in populated areas, which the Israeli army then denied. The Taliban have also been accused of using white phosphorus during the US-Taliban clash near Bagram. During the Syrian civil war, white phosphorus was used via airstrikes and artillery attacks. By the looks of it, these chemical bombs were used by militaries across the world by exploiting this legal grey area of international law of warfare. The continuing crisis between Ukraine and Russia poses a threat for Taiwan. How? Russia's unprovoked invasion of Ukraine has set a dangerous precedent. Now Taiwan expects a similar attack from China. Due to this, they are now conducting many reservist training sessions. The Ukraine-Russia crisis is a tricky challenge for China. Many reports suggest that China was aware of Russia's invasion but turned a blind eye. Political analysts suspect one of the reasons might be because China has vested interests to see how the Russia-Ukraine crisis plays out. Can Putin and the Russian army survive the opposition from the West after carrying out such a large-scale invasion in modern times? China has long believed that the island country of Taiwan should be a part of China, and the Xi Jinping government has been aggressive about it since Tsai Ing-wen was elected as Taiwan's president back in 2016. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the Taiwan army is on high alert in fear of a potential attack from Beijing. Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen was seen observing the reservist training in Taiwan. Beijing has publicly vowed to seize Taiwan, even by force if necessary. China has maintained strong pressure on Taiwan and has breached Taiwan's air defense zone with warplanes on an everyday basis. After seeing the Ukraine-Russia crisis, many Chinese nationalists said on social media that this is the best time to get Taiwan back. But if China believes and supports Russia and its invasion, why did they abstain from their vote at the UN? At the UN, countries voted on whether to condemn or support Russia. Due to the strong Russia-China ties, experts believed that China would vote in favor of Russia. But China abstained from its vote. One of the reasons is China believes not to be involved in any international geopolitical issues and expects other countries not to get involved in theirs. Another reason that experts strongly believe in is China's keen interest in capturing Taiwan. But is it easy for China to carry out an invasion on Taiwan, given the sanctions from the West? Amid the Russia-Ukraine invasion, the West has imposed strict sanctions on Russia, and it has taken the Russian economy for a spin. US supports the democratic Taiwan and has an arms trade deal of $100 million. So the question remains, if China chooses to invade Taiwan, how will it tackle the sanctions from the West? Elon Musk surely lives and breathes to colonize Mars someday. He delivered a presentation on Starship, a rocket that one day might take you to Mars. But before Starship, we had InSight, a mission that was developed to learn Mars' inner structure. What did InSight do? Let's learn more about it. After its launch from the Vandenberg Air Force Base in California, the US probe InSight landed on Mars. NASA's mission, a study of Mars' inner structure to help understand better how rocky planets in the solar system are formed. To do this, InSight uses an instrument called SEIS, a seismometer that will measure Martian tectonic activity. SEIS, designed in France, is extremely sensitive. It is protected by a wind and thermal shield. Scientists are hoping to record around 100 Mars earthquakes. The lander is also equipped with a heat sensor, HP Cube, which measures heat flowing out of the planet's interior. The probe penetrates almost 5 meters into the Mars's surface. The mission is expected to last for 2 years.
When it's the world's biggest news story, there's only one gold standard of journalism. This is Ukraine's true danger zone. Up close and fearless in Ukraine's combat zone. When it's the world's biggest news story, there's only one gold standard of journalism.
You are presented by Green Lamb Laminates, Gustaki Saaf. Co-powered by Apollo 24/7. Download now. In association with Hetic Fittings, make your furniture work beautifully. AU Bank, बदलाव हमसे है. Ozone, अब चलेगी finger की. Trends, get them talking. Kotak Mahindra Mutual Fund.
Hello and welcome to an India Today special broadcast that comes to you from the strife-torn Ukrainian capital Kiev. I'm Gaurav Sawant. This is day 33 of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. And India Today has the biggest team of reporters getting you a 360-degree perspective on this big story from Kyiv to Kharkiv and Donetsk.
Russia inches towards capital Kyiv. Putin's missile fury on full display. Ukraine burns under Russia's phase 2. But defenders unwilling to bend the knee. UK's star streak game changer for Ukraine. Who will win? Putin's ambition versus Zelensky's resilience. With Gaurav Sawant from War Zone.
Russian forces have mounted a multiple-pronged attack for the capture of Kyiv. There were rocket strikes and missile strikes early this morning on Kyiv. Now, several routes leading to Kyiv were targeted in the Russian missile and rocket strike. There was a swift counter-attack and response. The situation remains extremely grim as the Russians now appear to be moving forward from multiple new fronts.
Уже штук 20 пролетіло.
The raging battle for capital city Kyiv continues, and Moscow is increasing both intensity of attacks and ferocity of weaponry, aiming to make the phase 2 of the ongoing war even deadlier. Russian troops are attempting to advance on Kyiv from the northwest and the east, capturing nearby roads and villages. But Ukraine is not backing down. Russian forces are currently being held back by Ukrainian fightback in outskirts of Kyiv.
Early this morning, there was intense shelling reported from the north, northeast and west, 3 directions in Kyiv, and that is where the Russian forces are reportedly advancing. So initially there was a feeling that there would be a lull since negotiations are happening, but there appears to be an intensification in the operations that are being carried out by the Russians.
Villages surrounding Kyiv, including Bayshiv, Stoyanka and Sitnyaki, are in ruins. Their infrastructure damaged, buildings destroyed and streets deserted.
The workers are still working and they're making sure that in case of any heavy bombardment in this area in Sofia Square, this statue, which is an ancient statue, is a heritage of the city, is protected and is not damaged in any kind of air attacks from the Russian forces.
Destroyed tanks, armored vehicles dot the landscape, indicating a massive trail of destruction. India today met a group of US war veterans who have arrived in Kyiv to help Ukraine fight back.
So, Marshall incidentally is a combat veteran. He's had extensive tours of duty overseas with the US Armed Forces. John, you're helping as a volunteer. What do you do?
So I'm actually bringing donations from Canada. I'll be volunteering at the Medika border crossing, just helping refugees. I passed through there a couple days ago. They definitely need all the assistance that they can get, 100%.
Despite continued attacks from Kyiv, some residents of Kyiv who fled the capital city are slowly returning home.
Now that the two of you are back and you're on rotation, you're on R&R right now, you'll go back to the front line.
Yes, next week, approximately next week.
So the time that you're spending together, and I don't want to, be as, take away a lot of your time, but you do intend to now come together for a longer period, I believe.
Of course. Now we have time for a week and we try to walk, try to drink a coffee and maybe bicycle tomorrow. Of course, I find flowers for she and try to make happy moments.
When you try to make happy moments, You're also planning to spend your life together, I believe. That was the conversation the two of you were having when we met.
Мы когда с тобой гуляем, ты планируешь, что мы и дальше будем с тобой гулять, будем дальше встречаться?
Конечно, конечно же. Я
Of
надеюсь...
course we will try and we make everything what we can for this. And ты надеешься, что...
Да, я надеюсь, что мы будем вместе.
She hope we will be together.
I wish you all the best, sincerely. The two of them looked lovely together, and that's when we walked up to them and struck a conversation. Amidst all the death and destruction and gloom, there is this story of life, there is this story of happiness.
Local churches becoming rallying points for residents. With Gaurav Sawant and Rajesh Pawar in key war zone. Bureau Report, India Today.
For 33 days and counting, Ukraine has desperately asked the West for surface-to-air missiles and fighter jets. They've also asked the West to declare a no-fly zone over Ukraine. That hasn't happened. The United Kingdom has, however, approved the supply of Starstreak missiles. Now, this could well prove to be a game changer as far as Ukraine is concerned. And there is tremendous excitement should Ukraine actually get Starstreak on ground. Surface-to-air missiles that can travel 3 times the speed of sound and can take down low-flying enemy aircraft and helicopters. But will the Starstreak actually be supplied, and when, remains the big question. But truly, if supplied, then it would increase the challenges for Russian fighter pilots and helicopter pilots in this region.
Over 33 days, Russian aircraft have been raining hell on Ukraine. But Russian aircraft have also been facing hell in the country. With large numbers of fighters and helicopters brought down by bruised but determined Ukrainian air defense units. Since the beginning of the war, Ukraine has been awash with lethal Stinger shoulder-fired anti-aircraft missiles, a weapon that has imposed a huge cost on Russia's air power superiority and will to dominate. But now, after over a month of constant bombardment, with its cities reeling from a second wave of Putin's aerial strikes, a new weapon is flowing into Ukraine. One that will give it even more teeth against Putin's air force. Days after the NATO summit in Brussels, the Boris Johnson government in the United Kingdom has decided to supply Ukraine with Starstreak, the fastest short-range air defense missile system in existence. The man-portable shoulder-fired Starstreak system fires missiles that accelerate to up to 4 times the speed of sound, blindingly zooming into their targets. The weapon then launches 3 laser beam-riding sub-munitions, increasing the likelihood of a successful hit on their target. The Starstreak has a number of advantages over the Stinger and Igla systems currently being used by Ukrainian air defense troops. Most notably, the Starstreak cannot be jammed by infrared or radar countermeasures. Britain's air defense commander has declared that Russian pilots will think twice about getting into their planes after British soldiers have trained their Ukrainian counterparts to fire Starstreak. With this latest NATO weapon entering a high-tech battlefield, will this give Putin's air power impulses reason to stay grounded? Or has Putin already war-gamed Ukraine's new defenses? Watch this space to find out what happens next. Bureau Report, India Today.
Russian missiles continue to pound Ukraine, and it's not just the capital Kiev, but multiple cities are repeatedly being targeted, and not just from the skies or ground, but even from sea. Now, 4 Caliber missiles fired by the Buyan missile boats have repeatedly targeted Ukrainian vital assets and vital points. Ukraine, no part of it is safe, either from the skies or ground, and now even from the seas, as India Today's Shiv Arur gets you more in this report. A brooding night sky over the Black Sea, torn apart by 4 caliber cruise missiles launched from a Russian Navy Buyan M missile boat. Their targets, Ukrainian sites near the country's capital, Kyiv. Capable of hitting targets hundreds of kilometers away with devastating accuracy, the use of caliber cruise missiles signals a shift into the realm of advanced weaponry in the second phase of this war. The Russian Ministry of Defense has flaunted this video of the Iskander short-range ballistic missile as well, being used to target a claimed foreign mercenary unit using a Kyiv shopping mall as a reloading base for its rocket units. The third major Russian missile system being used is the Yakhont high-speed cruise missile, seen here being launched against a Ukrainian weapons depot in the western part of the country. The Yakhont is a progenitor of the Indo-Russian BrahMos missile in service with the Indian Armed Forces. And the missile that Russia has used for the first time in combat, the Kinzhal hypersonic air-launched cruise missile, seen here smashing into a Ukrainian underground weapons depot. The Kinzhal is a nuclear-capable weapon that has, of course, been used only with conventional warheads in Ukraine. Four advanced Russian missile systems, all four being used in anger against Ukraine. The damage they're causing, plain for their makers and the world to see. Of course, there's another Russian missile that's on operational alert amidst this Ukrainian crisis. A weapon stored away secretly inside Russia's Bore-class nuclear ballistic missile submarines. A weapon that will hopefully never be used. The Bulava, a submarine-launched intercontinental range ballistic missile. A Cold War weapon that could bring about the end of the world if ever fired in anger. A weapon whose heightened state of alert has sparked nuclear fears across the world. As Russia's war in Ukraine rumbles forward in its second month, missile power will define the onward march. Bureau Report, India Today. The Russian armed forces are amongst the deadliest in the world. Their army, navy, air force, missile force, their nuclear force. Now, it is the second strongest armed forces in the world. Their nuclear stockpile, the largest in the world. They have air-launched, ship-launched, submarine-launched and ground-launched nuclear missiles, including intercontinental ballistic missiles. I now want to cut across to India Today's Shiv Arur to help us break down and understand the might of the Russian forces.
Use of advanced, long-range, costly missile systems has come to become one of the defining features of the second month of Russia's invasion in Ukraine. Just take a look at the weapons they're being used, as you saw in that report. The first most visible one is the Caliber. That's a cruise missile. It's a long-range cruise missile that was launched from the Buyan M missile boats, part of the Black Sea Fleet. These can be fired from ships, from submarine, as well as from air. A lesser variant of this is also, in the Indian Armed Forces. These can attain extremely high speeds, sometimes supersonic speeds as well. And like I said, they have very, very long, credible ranges. So the Caliber cruise missile has ranges of up to 4,500 kilometers in the more advanced variants. The next big missile system that Russia has brought to bear in this second phase of the conflict, is the Iskander missile system. It contains a hybrid of both ballistic as well as cruise missile systems. These are radar evading weapons that have been designed, for stealthy attacks. These are short-range ballistic missiles and cruise missiles which are part of this, and videos put out by the Russian armed forces suggest that the Iskander has been used quite a bit in the conflict so far, and you're going to see much more of the Iskander being used in the second phase of this battle. Then we move on to the third big weapon system that is being used here, which is the Yakhont, called the Onyx in Russian service. It's very similar to the BrahMos, which we here in India know so well about. It's a supersonic cruise missile, short range, once again about 300 to 400 kilometers, has been used to hit specific, high-value targets, including weapons depots in Russia. This is a missile system that makes it, one of the fastest missiles in the world in its class, very similar to the BrahMos, that derives from the technology there. And finally is the Kinjal, which is an air-launched hybrid missile. It's usually a nuclear-capable delivery system, but obviously has been used only with a conventional warhead, thankfully, in Ukraine so far. And notably, the Kinjal is a weapon that's been used for the first time in anger, for the first time in combat during the Ukraine crisis. So 4 missile systems, making it very clear that Russia has had enough of using, baseline military equipment like tanks, and is now resorting to using much more expensive equipment to cause damage in Ukraine.
Mariupol, once a bustling industrial sector, a coal plant, the Donbass region is considered one of the core issues in this battle. Before this battle started, Russia or Russian-backed forces were in control of 30% of Donetsk and Luhansk. Now they're almost in control of between 70 to 80% of this territory. But why is Mariupol so crucial for Russians? They want to show victory, and to show that victory, they need to be in control not just of Mariupol, but that region that goes all the way from Mariupol down to Crimea, so that water supply to Crimea can be maintained. And for this, Mariupol has now been reduced virtually to rubble. Multiple buildings have been decimated. The Russian forces are now on the streets of Mariupol, even as reports come in that the Ukrainian forces have mounted a swift counter-attack to take back some territory. But vital assets and vital points in the Donbass region, to a very large extent, are now completely in Russian control, as our next report tells you.
Over 3,000 killed. Thousands forcibly taken to Russia as prisoners. Many, many more injured. No building standing without damage. This is the horrifying story of Mariupol. The Ukrainian city of 5.5 lakh, now in absolute ruins. The destruction is near total. Bombarded, hit with missiles, struck with massive airstrikes relentlessly. The sprawling port city of Mariupol has been wasted by Russian heavy artillery fire. Its once plush and picturesque neighborhoods now unrecognizable and reduced to ghost towns. Many streets are seen littered with unclaimed corpses and civilians killed in airstrikes. Ukraine has also accused Moscow of forcibly moving out over 40,000 citizens from Mariupol to Russia without consent from Ukrainian government. The port city, lying in direct line of Russian fire and invasion, has seen toddlers and newborns dying in Russian attacks. Hundreds had perished earlier when Russia bombed a theater where civilians had taken shelter. Russia has been accused of using super powerful bombs after trapping nearly 2 lakh people and denying them safe passage. France has also raised concerns over the humanitarian catastrophe in Mariupol and called for urgent international intervention. French Foreign Minister called Mariupol the new Aleppo, drawing parallels with the total destruction of the Syrian city.
Mariupol, c'est la guerre des sièges, dans laquelle
Mariupol is a siege war that Russia has been entering for a month now. And siege warfare is horrible warfare since civilian populations are being massacred and annihilated.
Massacrés.
Ukrainian President Zelensky slammed Russian forces for targeting civilians, including bombing a school sheltering women and children.
Зруйновані церкви. Звичайні будинки.
Destroyed schools, churches, houses. All the people are killed and all the children are killed. The air bomb on the maternity hospital is the final proof that the genocide of the Ukrainians is taking place.
Відбувається геноцид українців.
Half of Mariupol's population is still trapped, becoming victims of President Putin's war game. And time is running out for Mariupol real fast. Bureau Report, India Today.
India Today is the only channel to get you 360-degree perspective on this story. We're telling you what's happening in Ukraine. We'll also tell you what's happening on the Russian side. India Today's Foreign Affairs editor, Geeta Mohan, is in Donetsk. And Donetsk, remember, the government in Moscow, President Putin had declared both Luhansk and Donetsk as independent republics. Now they have additional territory. Geeta Mohan on ground zero in Donetsk with this report.
We are here in the heart of Donetsk city. This is the Artima street, and you can see all the malls, the major restaurants, clubs, all of these places have been shut down. They're shut because of the situation on the ground. Only a few bare minimum grocery stores, some of the shopping centers are open. All the rest are absolutely shut with no products to sell. No people over here actually to come and buy the products. With the journalist Satya Rautre in Donetsk, Geeta Mohan for India Today.
For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power. US President Joe Biden's statement in Warsaw at the royal castle about the Russian President Vladimir Putin has stirred a hornet's nest. The White House, the State Department, Antony Blinken, the US Secretary of State, they've had to clarify the American president's statement saying that regime change in Moscow wasn't America's agenda. What President Biden was actually talking about was only to ensure that Russian President Vladimir Putin does not have the power to change regimes in the neighborhood. But the American president has been in the eye of a storm for a number of statements for which the White House has had to issue a clarification, even in the past.
It was Saturday in Ukraine when the bombs began falling on Lviv to the west of the country. The city had seen relative calm over the month of war, but the strikes at a fuel depot sent smoke and flames billowing into the air. At about the same time, around 400 kilometers further west, President Joe Biden of USA was meeting Ukrainian refugees at the National Stadium of Poland in Warsaw. When reporters asked him what he thought of President Putin of Russia, the US president said he's a butcher.
You see this and you're dealing every day with Vladimir Putin. I mean, look at what he's done to these people. What does it make you think? He's a butcher.
If Putin was sending a message to Biden by bombing Western Ukraine because the US president was in neighboring Poland, then Biden too had a message for Putin later that evening.
Over the last 30 years, the forces of autocracy.
It was a much-awaited speech from one who is called the leader of the free world. At the end of his 3-day visit to Europe, in the backdrop of the raging war to his east, President Joe Biden's words would in effect indicate the direction Western strategy would take in the days to come. For 27 minutes, the President of the United States spoke, showing full support for Ukraine and drawing out the parameters of Western response to Russian action. And then suddenly, 27 minutes later, at the very end of his speech, he dropped an ad-libbed bombshell.
Russia's choice. We will have a different future, a brighter future, rooted in democracy and principle, hope and light, of decency and dignity, of freedom and possibilities. For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power. God bless you all, and may God defend our freedom.
Those 9 ad-libbed words, "For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power," set off alarm bells all over the diplomatic world. It had US officials scrambling to damage control, and Secretary of State Antony Blinken clarified that regime change in Russia was not on US agenda.
Made the point last night that
But this was typical Joe Biden. He had often been accused of letting his mouth run away from prudence. During his 2008 campaign for presidential nomination, Biden had described another contender as the first mainstream African American who was articulate and bright and clean and a nice-looking guy. That contender was Barack Obama, whose running mate he later became and stayed vice president during the Obama presidency. On Ukraine, as President of the United States, Joe Biden had been building up to getting his words get the better of US policy.
I think he is a war criminal.
In the matter of a week, Biden had not only called Putin a war criminal, he also referred to him as a murderous dictator, a pure thug who is waging an immoral war against the people of Ukraine. He said the Russian invasion of Ukraine was inhuman. Some of what Joe Biden sometimes says is considered nothing more important than a gaffe. Like when he said Iranian instead of Ukrainian during his State of the Union address on 1st of March.
Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people.
But there are times when the seasoned politician that he is, his verbal slip-ups may actually be pointing to how things really are. But then, as the President of the United States, he knows the weight his words carry. During his presidential campaign, Joe Biden often told his audience how the words of a president can matter when they can send men and women to war, and how they can also bring peace.
The apprehension now is that rocket attacks, air attacks and the missile strikes on and around Kyiv will intensify in the days ahead. India Today will continue to report from ground zero, but that is all that camera person Lalit Mohan Joshi and I have for you on this special broadcast from Kyiv, Ukraine. Many thanks for watching. For all the latest news and updates, stay with India Today.
Russia's aggression in Ukraine was met by swift, severe and crippling sanctions from the United States, the United Kingdom and the European Union. Now big tech giants are joining the fight against Russian aggression by updating their terms to do business with the country. The world's 5 leading tech companies, Google, Apple, Meta, Twitter and Amazon, are imposing significant sanctions on Russia. Social media giants Meta, Twitter, ByteDance, TikTok have come under immense pressure to curb the spread of misinformation. Meta has removed access to Russia Today and Sputnik on both Facebook and Instagram. It has also removed the option for state media to monetize content on any of its platforms, forcing the Kremlin to ban the social media giant. Tech giant Google has limited the use of Google Pay in Russia for customers using a sanctioned bank. It has also stopped selling online advertising in Russia, besides banning Russia Today and Sputnik in Europe. Apple has suspended all product sales in Russia and has limited Apple Pay and other services. It has also blocked Russia Today and Sputnik from Apple Store. Twitter has restricted some users from Russia. Twitter is also complying with European Union sanctions on Russia's state-affiliated media, Russia Today and Sputnik. YouTube has banned the Russian state media outlet Russia Today and other Russian channels from receiving advertisements. It is said that videos from Russian creators will come up less often in its recommendations. Other tech companies taking a stern stance on Russia are Netflix and Amazon. Netflix has temporarily stopped future projects and acquisitions in Russia. While tech companies are working together to introduce measures to curb Russian expansionism, the war has also brought focus on cryptocurrencies. The Ukrainian government has appealed on Twitter for cryptocurrency donations. Ukraine's Vice Prime Minister recently tweeted the wallet address for donations. He also urged crypto exchanges to block the addresses of Russian users. In Kyiv, cryptocurrencies are helping fund Ukraine's resistance against the Russian invasion. But Russia may use them to mitigate the impact of crippling economic sanctions imposed by the West.
As long as, the shop owner or their son or their daughter has the capability to take in cryptocurrency payments, the breadth of crypto adoption in Ukraine is really an important factor here.
While the overwhelming impact of the sanctions imposed by big tech companies on Russia will only be evident in the coming months, cryptocurrencies will provide an alternative to both Ukraine and Russia.
On a daily basis, thousands of oil spills occur worldwide in the oceans, causing oil pollution. This oil pollution in the oceans can have a disastrous effect on marine life. Most people don't realize how serious the problem is until there's a major incident at sea, such as a tanker spill or an oil rig explosion. Oil slicks have the potential to kill seabirds and marine animals, such as seals, as they drift towards the coast. Although only 10% of global marine oil population is caused by spills of this nature, the majority is generated by everyday maritime traffic, such as illegal dumping and tank cleaning, as well as onshore industrial activities. The environmental impact varies depending on location. Deep sea spills are typically smarter and easier to clean up. The oil sinks as it becomes denser, is broken down and destroyed by bacteria. Oil slicks on a rocky coast or exposed beach can have a significant impact on marine ecosystems, and they can take up to a year for wave action to clear away. This oil pollution is also extremely harmful to coral reefs. Coral regeneration can take up to 10 years and is often irreversible. And pollution in mangroves or on sandbanks can cause long-term damage that lasts more than 20 years.
When it's the world's biggest news story, there's only one gold standard of journalism.
You are watching India Today. You are watching.
Presented by Ebix Cash. हर खुशी के लिए काफी है. Co-presented by CoinDCX, your gateway to crypto. Co-powered by Green Lamb Laminates, Gustakhi Saaf.
You're watching Business Today. I'm Nabila Jamal. We'll take you through the top business news. First, the headlines. Over 800 essential medicines, including paracetamol, to get more expensive from 1st of April. National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority allows price hike by more than 10%. And the centre will depute a team of experts to Vellore and Pune to probe recent incidents involving electric scooters catching fire. Both Ola electric scooter and Okinawa's electric bike had been tested and received type approvals before being launched into the market. Sensex snaps 3-day losing streak, ends 231 points higher. Nifty tops 17,200 mark, led by auto, bank, oil and gas, metal stocks. Shares of PVR and Inox Leisure jumps after the multiplex operators announced their blockbuster deal. The merged company will now be named PVR Inox and will create India's largest firm, almost a film exhibition entity with over 1,500 screens. GAIL jumps 3% as board to mull share buyback on March 31st. This is second such move by state-owned gas distributor in many years. Now, in a major development, the National Pharmaceutical Pricing Authority has announced a hike in prices of around 800 essential drugs from the 1st of April. Prices of medicines used